Yeah, old school. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, this ain't for everybody. Some of y'all need to hear this. I know you're in the trenches fighting, but check it out. I'm gonna put it down like this so I can help the saints understand. Everything you're going through is all part of the master plan. Or what? You thought cause you got saved everything was gonna be peaches and cream? You better wake up, son. Don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream. Faith without works is dead. Read your Bible, you know what it said. He who don't work don't eat. Slackers don't get fed. Yeah, Jesus said he who puts his hands to the plow looks back the same ain't fit. Some of y'all ain't been in the trenches 5 minutes and you about ready to quit. I ain't mad at you, I'm just hitting you with the real. If you died for me and I was still tripping, now how you think that make you feel? Check this out, deep game, this here's deep. Some of y'all ain't sawing nothing but you started trying to reach. But unto him who is able to possess your fathers by his glory. Struggles might be part of your testimony, but it ain't the end of the story. Now the point is this was prophesied way back in the day. Choir, sing your hook right here and see if the church can relate.
I know we can make it. I know good and well. God can work it out. He'll work it out. I know we can make it. We can make it. I know good and well. God can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yeah.
Thinking not strange, the fiery trials will try you. You say, why you? But your church say, what would Jesus do? Why you asking if he ain't trying to do what he's saying? He told you he was going to have tribulations, but you thought he was playing. 1 minute you tell him how good God is and can't nobody beat the talk. The next minute you're backsliding so fast, look like you're moonwalking. Oh yeah, I'm preaching to myself because I ain't no better. It ain't like I've been following his every word, obeying it to the letter. So we soldiers, we got to remember that. Regroup, stay on point. Yeah, bow down, confess, repent, stay humble, let him anoint. It ain't easy as I thought it was. I'd be lying if I told you that. But it's showing up getting better all the time. Trust me, that's the fact. Ain't nothing we going through that can't be handled. God put that on his son. Like they say, you can shout now if you want to, cause the battle's already won. So while you're going through the valley, don't even trip. You're gonna be on top. Choir, sing the hook line one more again. This time you don't stop.
I know we can make it. Guess what? Your time is up. 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 Babylon, your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, said the Lord. You must free my Israelites. I'm standing by the door. And I know what you've been doing. You've done my people wrong. 400 years they've lived in fear, and I'll come to make them strong. Babylon, your kingdom. Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. Your time is up. kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. So guess what? Your time is up. Guess what? Your time is up. I shake 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 your time is up. Babylon, where your kingdom? It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. This is the words of Yahweh. Yes, every word is true. I fed the hungry multitude, and I'll do the same for you. I came to give you more life, and that abundantly. If you let your light shine, so every man can see. And Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. 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 So guess what? Your time is up. Talking about just how. Guess what? Your time is up. You can't stop just how. Guess what? Your time is up. Talking about just how. Guess what? Your time is up. You can't stop just how. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. 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 Babylon.
Wow, it's your host, Lamont Patterson on Can a Player Play, and I was just notified a moment ago that we had a little brief moment of technical difficulties. I think something's going on with the switchboard. But anyway, I thank you for being patient and hanging in there with us. Mr. Leonard, are you in the building?
Yes, I am. How are you, sir?
Oh, I am fantastic. I am too blessed to be stressed, as they say.
I hear you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I know we had a brief moment of technical difficulty there, man. I was just talking about you, man, and I don't know if anybody heard me, boy.
Yeah, it was quiet there for a little bit, but that's okay because, like you said, we're too blessed to be stressed. So, we'll take the little lumps that we get and just keep moving forward. How about that?
Oh, yeah, we definitely got to do that. Let me give a brief introduction. Ladies and gents, we have Mr. Gerald J. Leonard joining us today, and we're going to be talking about his book, 9 Steps to Successful Agile Project Team Transformation. And I know a lot of my entrepreneurial friends, the males and females, definitely want to hone into that because we're never so good that we can't be better in whatever it is that we do. So with that being said, Mr. Leonard, let's dive in and talk about you.
Okay. Well, again, as you said, my name is Gerald Leonard, and the way I came into the work that I'm doing now is my educational training was as a classical and jazz bass player, and I went to a historically black college, Central State University, and into the Cincinnati Conservatory, where I actually got a chance to play at Carnegie Hall and do some other great things and get a New York Times review playing with an opera singer in New York at the Merkin Concert Hall. I did that for a number of years professionally and moved up to New York where, I got into the ministry and did a number of things with the church there and had a couple of kids and decided, I really don't want to be on the road as a musician. And I ended up switching careers for a while and got into IT at the time when if you could spell IT, you could get in. But because of some of my background, I had a lot of training in leadership and was able to pull those together. Long story short, later on in life, as my kids have grown up and are 28 and 25, these two worlds have come back together, where I'm doing a lot of things at a high level musically, as well as have done a lot of things around consulting with major corporations and major federal and state agencies. And there's a combination of what I see between them, and that's where the idea for my first book, Culture is the Base, the 7 Principles of Developing a Culture That Works, and then my new book that's coming out this year, at the beginning of next year, called Workplace Jazz, helping Agile teams develop their transformation and create transformation for their organizations. And so that's kind of where it all came from, is that combination of musical training, business training, seeing what's happening as a musician, seeing what's happening in business, and combining those two worlds together.
And I guess that's why, as listening to you as, a musician, entertainer myself, listening to you, that right there is a juggling act that a lot of entertainers or musicians and business people haven't been able to figure out how to do. How to have a serious music career, with that demanding side of it, with the touring, with the practicing and rehearsals, and then being a business person at the same time.
Right.
One kind of, but it seemed like you've been able to figure that out and make that work.
Yeah, I have, and a part of it is that as a musician, I found myself to be someone that was pretty organized, not showing up late for gigs, and being on top of my music and being prepared. And I realized
you never got charged for being late at rehearsal, is what you're telling me.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't get charged for being late at rehearsal.
Because we always got charged back in the day. You late, you got to pay, buddy.
Exactly. Because time is money, right? Time is money. And when you're playing and you got to rehearse, all that time that you spend is critically important. But what I realized was that organizing chaos and just really being good at kind of organizing and pulling things together came second nature to me. And when I made that decision to do something else for a little while, the idea of project management, program management, that just kind of fell in, and it fit like a glove. It felt like picking up another instrument, honestly. And so
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, finish your statement.
No, I was just going to say that really worked out to be able to pull those two things together and, bring that business acumen into the music space where, a lot of times sometimes that can be missing, but not all the time, but sometimes that can be missing.
Yeah, well, I can think of a lot of musicians that all the time is missing. That's why they get into some of the situations that they get into, because they're talented musicians, but they miss the business side. Or the flip side of that is you can be a great business person and then you could be lacking on the other side as well too. So
exactly.
But it's like I said, but it's a blessing. Who are some of your role models? I mean, are they? I know there's not many. Like I said, I know it's not many that's able to, to master the situation like you've done. But who are some of your models and mentors out there?
I've ran into both. I've ran into business consultants and musicians on both sides. I recently, within the last few years, got connected to be able to spend some time with Gerald Beasley, Donald Robinson, and Gerald runs a bass boot camp up in the Philadelphia area, and he has a great gig that happens at South Restaurant in Philly. And I think he really has that on. Like, he's figured it out, how to pull together business as well as be a great musician. And when I started going to his boot camp, I got a chance to meet Victor Luton. Last time I got a chance to meet Marcus Miller and some of the other guys, and I got a chance to start doing some work with Donald Robinson as I'm getting ready to work on my own first album and put some music out. And, these guys have actually figured it out. And then on the other side, I've done some stuff with the National Speakers Association where I've met speakers who they also play music on the side or play music as part of their speaking, and they actually figured it out as well, where they do professional speaking and they talk about making changes, and they speak to corporations, and they're making money on the business side, but they're bringing their art as part of it. And and when everything changed in the music business with streaming music, and a lot of
tell me about it.
Musicians are not making a living the way they used to on record deals, and record companies pulling back from publishing or promoting artists. The ones who are having to make it are having to become more business oriented. They're having to think more business oriented, and basically have to use both of those skills to kind of make it, because music is a business. It's the music business.
Correct. I totally agree with that, and I tell people on our music show that we do on Wednesday the same thing. That's why they call it music business. This is not music play. It's music business.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you help customers overcome.
Well, some of the challenges that I've helped my clients overcome is, one, I've done some consulting for a Department of Transportation in Virginia, and they are a really large organization. They have their system has like $16 billion of road construction projects across the state. They have over 14,000 projects and over 1,000 project managers. And when I came in with them, I basically helped them to think through how to integrate some systems together and roll it out in such a way to think about culture. And over the last 5 years when I've been working with them, I actually wrote my first book, Culture is the Base. Because if you listen to any great music, it always has a great bass line, right? All great music
Right.
has a great bass line. Well, all great companies or great institutions have great culture. And so I began to kind of tie those two together. It's kind of like that song, It's All About That Bass. Well, it's all about the culture and the way the company is working. And they had actually had consultants in there. Go ahead.
Question for you, sir.
Yeah.
Define culture for the listeners that may not understand exactly what culture is.
Excellent. Well, a company's culture is the emotional connection that they create among themselves and along with their customers. You experience a company's culture when you walk in and you say to yourself, I love shopping at this store. You may not know why, but if you go back and look at what's that company's vision, where are they going? I bet it's very focused on the customer. What's their values? Their values are probably very focused on making their customers first, really reaching out to them. As a team, everyone within the company has bought in to it. And so there's great team buy-in. I always say buy-in is a team sport. And then the stories that they tell about the company all kind of tie together. It moves their head, heart, and hands. Then they have a great environment, and then you see a group of people that are really working together. It's like a great family that has a great vision, has values. And so those 7 ideas really make up what I would say are excellent cultures. And in fact, I talk about that a lot in my first book, and just kind of spell out how no matter if you're a church, if you're a family, if you're a small organization, a large organization, a multinational corporation, how if you follow the 7 steps, you can build a great culture so that when people walk into your door, they have that emotional feeling of, this is where I like to be. This is where I want to. This is where I want to spend my time and my money because it has a great culture.
Right.
So that's what I say. That's what I think about when I think about culture.
Well, I'm glad you broke it down so, everybody else can kind of understand. I mean, they know the stores they like to go to. They know the feeling. They know that when they walk in the door, the ambiance, the whole place, but they don't really identify that as a culture. So now they kind of put that together, too.
Right. And some cultures, the thing about it is that some companies, their culture is accidental. It's based on the founder's personality. And so everybody kind of aligns to that. And then some cultures are very deliberate, where the founders come in and they say, this is how we want people to experience our services, our products, our store, whatever the case may be. I think of Nordstrom. I think of Zappos, which is an online shoe store. I think of Google. I think of Amazon. When you buy something, they try to make you feel like, we're going to take care of you no matter what. Even if you have to return it and they have to give you their money back, they make you feel valued.
Well, that's good customer service as well, because they know that
exactly.
people
Plays a big part of it.
That. They know if there's an issue, it's going to be taken care of straight away.
Exactly.
Let me see. I think we have another caller here. Let me see. I see their hand up. Let me see who this is. 710, you're on.
Yeah, straight away. Exactly.
Hello.
We see. I think we have another caller here. See their hand up.
I guess I heard the show in the background, so I guess they didn't really want to speak.
Okay.
Anyway, so what is the $1 billion beat? I know, we referenced that, $1 billion beat, and discover the hidden soundtrack. So explain that to us.
Okay, so I coined this phrase, the $1 billion beat, because just like I shared about my mentors and coaches, well, I not only do I have musical mentors and coaches, I have business and marketing mentors and coaches, and I think one of the most important things anyone can do, if you want to be excellent at what you do, is to find coaches and mentors who can take you to that next level. And so one of my coaches, when I was looking at how I'm marketing what I do, he basically stood back and said, you're like a $1 billion consultant. And he used that because my clients are, they have a $1 billion portfolio that I'm helping them manage or oversee and helping them manage. And so what I was able to do with that particular client at the time was to basically help them find the hidden gems within their company to turn it's like, big doors swing on small hinges, right? Big doors swing on small hinges. And I was able to help them find the small hinges in their organization that could really swing the big doors in a positive direction and help them manage that $1 billion portfolio. In fact, to do it in such a way that they were able to save 40%. Think about that, saving 40% on a $16 billion portfolio and increasing their throughput to get more done with less resources by implementing some of these strategies. That's huge. And so the idea of a $1 billion beat came about from that. And really it's basically being able to take some of the strategies and concepts that I've been teaching my clients to basically figure out what are the small hinges in your organization, because we all have them. What's the small hinges in your organization, whether it's your church, your family, your company, your multinational organization, that if you tweak them just right, you can swing big doors and see major savings, either major throughput on getting more done with less, or major savings or reduction in cost to just really take your business and your profits to a whole nother level. And so that's the whole idea of a $1 billion beat. And so from that, I've created a website that anytime I do an interview or a podcast or someone wants to learn about me, I now can send them to billiondollarbeat.com, and they can sign up for a webinar created that basically teaches them how to take advantage and grow their expert status. And I'm also running a competition on that website as well, where I'm giving away for every 25th person that signs up, they're going to win a set of Beat headphones. And so that's the whole idea behind the $1 billion beat.
Good job, man. That's great stuff, man. So I know you have a book upcoming, The Workplace Jazz, and
yes.
I get a smile on my face the way that you tied this in with your music. So what was the idea behind that? What prompted that?
Okay, so the idea behind Workplace Jazz is, working as a musician and playing in small ensembles. The thing about music is it's a emotional, spiritual connection that no matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, when you get musicians together and they really start playing together, there's this thing that happens, right, for musicians. And as a musician yourself, you experience it. You felt it when you're playing, and it's like it puts everyone in the zone, and you're traveling down this road, and you're supporting each other, you're helping each other, right? Well, as a business consultant, what I experience is when I've worked with large organizations, like I've done consulting for the National Archives, for GEICO, for Freddie Mac, for Defense Logistics Agency, for these, for just large companies, when they have small teams, and we're working on something, and I've provided them some guidance, and we start, coming up with these deliverables and requirements, and really meeting the company's needs. It generates the same emotional experience as a group of musicians getting together, playing, Donna Lee, or playing some Charlie Parker, or Dizzy Gillespie, or some Quincy Jones, or Gerald J, playing some exceptional music where everyone is connected and working together. And so the idea behind workplace jazz is small teams and major corporations or in small corporations can actually experience the same process if they put together and use what I call it's the IMPROVISE framework. And the IMPROVISE framework is a way of saying, hey, if you put these things into practice in your organization, you're going to see your small teams gel and really take off and take you to a whole nother level.
Wow. That's great stuff. Also, let me ask you this. I know you're CEO of your company, Principles of Execution. I love that.
Yes.
It's a certified minority business enterprise.
Yes.
And you've been doing, and how does that fit in with you being an author and a speaker? What do you got time?
Well, it's actually like that business has actually laid the foundation for me to be able to do a lot of the things that I'm doing. Because I'm a minority-owned business and I'm able to gain access to talk to a lot of the bigger companies and network with a lot of the bigger companies. The Minority Supplier Development Council has conferences and workshops going on, and they have major corporations that need to diversify. And so they reach out to minority businesses like mine to bring certain talents to them. By being able to do that, I'm able to then network and go have conversations with a Cisco Systems or Walmart or a Pepsi or an Apple in a way that I wouldn't be able to do if I was just trying to come off the street on my own and have that conversation. But because I've gone through the certification process, and now I'm a member of that organization, I gain access to be able to have those kinds of conversations and partner with other large companies and can bring these same strategies and skills to those companies within that area of their minority-owned for their minority-owned businesses, or even partnering with other minority-owned businesses to help them grow to that next level to be able to provide better services to those major corporations.
Okay, fine. Let me this question that's lingering here. Not really a question, but your steps to the 9 steps you were talking about to a successful Agile project team transformation. Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So the 9 steps, the way I look at it is the 9 steps starts off with the first one is improving your skills. You think about musicians. One of the challenges as a musician is to play jazz, you really have to know your instrument. If you're nothing against classical or any other type of music, but when you have all the notes written, yes, you do have to develop your skill set to play those complex notes, because I've played classical as well, orchestral music and solos and recitals. But when you're playing jazz, to really play jazz well, you have to have mastered that instrument. So one of the first things for workplace jazz concept is whatever skills the team is bringing to the table, they need to focus on improving those skills. So if they're a developer, they need to focus on creating great skills around their development skills. If they're a project management, they need to develop great skills around project management. If they're a requirements person, same thing. Then next, they need to measure what matters. And so that's the M. So you improve, and then you measure. So you want to measure what matters. And when you focus on measuring what matters, it's finding that hidden soundtrack of that small hinge that swings the big door. Because you don't want to measure everything. You want to measure the things that are going to move the ball forward with either the project, or whether it's a music project or a business project. You want to move the thing. You want to measure and move those things forward. Once you start measuring what matters, to really make that happen, you have to then cultivate your personal attitude, and that's where the P comes in. It really boils down to your personal attitude. I teach something also called conversational intelligence, where I've gone after a certification with a lady named Judith Glazer, who recently passed away. And it's about it really gets into neuroscience. And the idea behind this conversational intelligence is when we talk with each other, it's more than just a conversation. There's a chemical reaction that happens. And if we talk with each other and we have a positive attitude, then we release more positive chemicals in each other. If we talk with each other in a negative manner, we release more negative chemicals. So imagine a band playing together and they have attitudes with each other. They don't get along. Well, that music is not going to die. It's not going to groove, right? Because the horn player don't like the drummer, the guitar player don't like the bass player. Ain't going to work. But if you get musicians together and they like each other.
I'm laughing because I've been there. I'm laughing because I've been there.
Right? So personal attitude is big. And so, so from a personal attitude standpoint, if you really like your other bandmates or the other musicians or the people on your business team, then you're going to support them. You're going to encourage them. You're going to bring positive energy, which, because of the neuroscience of conversation, is going to elicit positive chemicals in the other person. And so now you got this positive spiral going upwards, and it creates this feel-good experience that you want to go to work and be with your team, because now you understand the power of your personal attitude. And so then once you understand that, you also have to take into consideration risk. That's where the R comes from. It's either managing risk to accomplish your reward. And just like musicians, when we're playing, we know, hey, if we're going to play Giant Steps or we're going to play some other song, we want to play it in a way where everybody is on point, got their skills together, bringing the right attitude, and we reduce the risk of that song sounding bad. Well, in the same way, businesses and small teams, they need to consider the risk for themselves individually and as a team to make things work. Next is just the idea of being open to feedback. Ken Blanchard once said that the breakfast of champions is feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. And to really grow as a musician and in business, you have to be open to feedback. And if you're not open to feedback, then you're basically driving with blinders on. There's things that we just don't see about ourselves. And I've gotten the chance to spend time and meet a gentleman named Willie Jolly, who's like one of the top 5 speakers in the world.
Let me ask you. Let me jump in there real quick. I want to just ask you a question while you're on that point. When you're saying open to feedback, when one is receiving this feedback, does ever come a situation where he has to consider the source, or just be open to all feedback? Period.
No, you definitely have to consider the source. But here's the thing: all feedback that comes to you, whatever we put out, something's going to bounce back to us, right? And if what we're getting back to us, even if it's from somebody that we may not like, if it's a negative, then there may be some truth in there somewhere. And sometimes it's like getting a bucket of cold water thrown in your face and it has a little sand in it. Well, it's going to shock you and it's going to sting, but somewhere in there may be a little crystal of gold that you have to search for. And so being open to feedback can open you up to examining, the responses that you're getting from your work, from the people around you, so that if you're that way, you're more likely to constantly be making those adjustments. It's like when pilots in airplanes fly. They're off course 99% of the time, but they're open to the feedback of the radar systems and other gadgets that are flying that plane to help them to get back on course. Well, most of the time, we're living our lives off course, and only when we're open to feedback from our environment and from those around us can we constantly be maneuvering to stay on course of where we're trying to go with our lives. Does that make sense? So the next thing is, So number 7 here is you want to visualize your results. It's been proven that if you visualize your outcomes, you're more likely to achieve them. You're actually programming your brain for success when you visualize. And in fact, you're working the parts of your body and your brain that will accomplish the goal when you visualize. And this is something that I teach in my book. And so by visualizing the result you want, again, it's like a great jazz ensemble or an orchestra or a band. When they're planning on doing a concert, they're thinking, okay, how do we want the audience to respond? At the end of the night, what do we want from this concert? Do we want people to clap, stand up, give us a standing ovation? Do we want people to say, hey, where can I buy your record? Where can I buy your book? You're thinking about all those things, and you're visualizing them, even as a group, so that when you get together and you start playing, you've already saw the outcome you're achieving, and when you do that, you're more likely to go out that. And it's interesting that all world-class athletes and musicians and business people visualize the outcomes that they want. And that's why they win the gold, because they spend a lot of time seeing themselves on that podium winning that trophy. And we have to do the same thing in our daily lives and in our business.
That's powerful stuff as well.
Yeah, so the next thing is being inspired by aspiration. The idea of an aspiration is bigger than being just inspired. You can be inspired by something, but when you have an aspiration, you're thinking, I'm striving to be the best I can be at this specific, thing. I want to be number 2 in my market. I want to be number 1 in my market. There's an aspirational goal, which means it elevates your thinking, your mindset, yourself physically to a whole nother level. And so having an aspiration is much better than just having a goal or a dream. Because when you have an aspiration, you're taking it's a holistic approach to everything that's moving you forward towards that goal. And so that's one of the keys. And then the last 2 is, 1, surrender to support. And the idea behind surrender to support is, as a musician, when we're working together and someone says, hey, okay, it's John's time for the solo, and he's a guitar player, everyone else in the band starts listening to John. Everyone else, we're playing the same chords, but we're going to support John in the direction he wants to go with that solo. And then when it's the bass player's time or the piano player's time, everyone turns their attention to that person, and then they surrender what they're playing to where this other person who's soloing wants to go. In business, We have to do the same thing, especially in small agile teams. It's okay. So if it's the developer's chance to give the business something that they need, everyone supports that person to move things forward. And I've seen that happen, and it's very powerful when the team develops this attitude of surrender to support. And then finally, it's excellence in execution. And the mindset is that we're going to focus on getting things done, but we're going to strive to do them in an excellent manner. Someone said that excellence is a habit. I think it's Aristotle who said that we are what we repeatedly do, and so excellence is a habit. So we can decide to be excellent in everything that we do in our execution, and we go back and we put in the other 8 steps, then we will transform that group, whether it's an orchestra, whether it's a jazz ensemble, whether it's a small agile team, or on or even yourself. You can be transformed. And so the book is going to be covering all of those topics and really providing in-depth strategies, tools, and techniques for how to go to the next level, as well as stories from jazz musicians, as well as stories about jazz musicians and how they've used these same strategies to take themselves musically to a different level, and how you can use the same strategies as a jazz musician to take yourself to a different level as a business person.
I'm definitely going to have one of my other partners take a listen to this. One of the guys that's a great and good friend of mine, I used to manage him, Bobby Lau, jazz keyboardist.
Yeah.
And, I'm hearing a lot of stuff that he and I have gone back and forth about, but I don't think he connected it with the music and the business like you're doing. But the thoughts are the same, because I used to tease him, and he used to tell me, well, jazz players, if you can play jazz, you can play anything. And
right.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, because you really have had to upskill yourself and master. You just can't get by. You can't fake it when you're playing jazz at a high level. You have to know your instrument cold, in and out, scales, arpeggios, all the different parts of music that come together. And just like that, within business, to go to that next level, you can't fake it. You really do have to spend the time woodshedding your skills to go to that next level.
As you do with business, because what I'm hearing and what you also know too, it's so very important to have a good team, a cohesive team, a team that's working in the same direction. So I know that's very important. So developing that team, that's awesome. You're giving people the guidelines in order to do that. Right.
You definitely have to develop that team. And again, I think following those 9 steps, especially the one around the personal attitude, I think so many times we underestimate the impact of our conversations and our attitude towards each other. So if we, no matter what happens, if we bring a positive, future results-oriented value creation attitude and mindset in conversations to a team, we can change the whole chemistry and dynamics. And in fact, we will change the chemistry that the other persons in our team their brains elicit. Instead of being tense and producing cortisol, their brains will actually start producing oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, and GABA, which are all neurotransmitters that create this positive energy that we need, and it creates a robust person and team.
Let me ask you this question: as a CEO, of your company, how do you deflect a lot of the pressures, or should I say, the pressures that come to you? How do you deflect that from your team?
Well, a part of it is being able to constantly step back and assess your priorities. In my office, I keep a board, and it's called the Kanban board, and it's basically, what am I working on? What are we planning to work on? What are we working on, and what are we completed? And the idea behind that is that every day, the focus is, am I focusing in on what's most important? And when everyone's focused on what's most important, and we have a daily stand-up or a call to discuss those things, then it keeps everyone on target. If we don't do that or have those things in front of us, then pretty soon we get caught up in the day-to-day, just the running of the business or the running of the project, and we lose track of what's really important to our key customers and to our key team members. But by keeping things in front of us and by discussing them on a day-to-day basis and focusing on what's the priority. And again, to me, the priority always has to be, what are the small hidden hinges that if we discover them and prioritize them, that can swing big doors, can make big things happen. It's kind of like the Pareto principle. I'm sure you probably have heard this with some of your other guests, which is the 80-20 principle. and the idea that 20% of what I do creates 80% of my results. So if I really want to get move things in a big way, I'm going to focus myself and my team on the 20% of what we do that's going to create the greatest result, and then outsource the rest. Outsource,
Right.
delegate, or don't do the rest.
Oh, yeah. Outsourcing definitely works. It goes back to the old adage, working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And it really does boil down to that concept of working smarter, not harder. And it really starts with not just, you got to be great at time management, but I think you have to be more better at priority management and identifying what are the key priorities that are going to move us in the direction of our goals and objectives and alignment. And again, that all starts with, well, where do you want to go? What's your aspiration? What's your vision? And then it goes back down to that first thing that I talked about in my first book with the 7 principles, which is what's my vision, and now what's our value? Because if we have values of teamwork, collaboration, co-creation, working together, and that's how we live and we manage our business and manage our teams, then it's going to make making decisions about what we do much easier if we have a strong set of values that are behaviors that we can govern and that we can measure.
It makes perfect sense to me. I'm just wondering. I know this thought is out the box because what I'm hearing, or what I'm thinking anyway, a lot of information that you're providing is definitely for the business, the entrepreneurs, the movers and shakers out there that's trying to establish themselves in business. Because any of these principles that you've created apply or work for somebody that just has a 9 to 5.
Sure. So if you're in a 9 to 5 and let's say every day you walk in and somebody else is giving you a task list of what to work on, that's what they're giving you to work on. But they're built into your day is time for you to prioritize and think about, well, what skills that if I really focused on them would elevate me above this position? And what skills does the CEO admire, or what skills does my boss's boss really admire in the workforce? Or what skills within our business are the critical skills that the big players have brought to the table? Well, once you can identify what those are, even though you're working a 9 to 5, if you spend that time focusing on developing those skills and improving those skills, whether it's reading a book, whether it's taking an online course, whether it's just practicing when you go to a meeting, and just really target and focus on those, you're going to find yourself being asked to come to meetings that you were not a part of before, because when someone who's running the company, they're looking at the bottom line. They're looking at what are the results that we're getting. And if they see someone down the chain producing incredible results, they're going to take note and pull that person upward. And even if they don't, when you're creating those types of skills and improvements in your life, you're also creating a emotional and energy vibe that goes out, and you're going to attract people who can use your skills. So you may start getting offers for other jobs that can really use your skills and take you to a whole nother level. So even if you're a 9 to 5 person, you can take and use those principles to basically take your life to a different level.
Thank you for going there with me, because I know I just wanted people to hear this. No matter what their job is or what occupation they may have, you could always increase your market share. You could always increase your value. So don't think you're just stuck. You could always do something. Just figure out what that is and get busy with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you touching that. So what's next for you, sir? What do you got? What do you got next? What's going on for you? What's coming up?
Well, like I said, as I'm finishing up the second book, Workplace Jazz, I'm also working on my first album. So I'm putting some songs together, and by just
is that something we're gonna be able to get? Is that something we're gonna be able to get to hear?
Yes, you will be able to. And so the way I'm looking at doing it, instead of putting the whole album out at one time, I'm going to be releasing a couple of songs on iTunes and through my website over time. So by the time my book comes out, I'll have at least an EP of all of the songs that I want to have on my first album out, and continually keep working on those. But I'm working with a gentleman named Donald Robertson who plays piano with Gerald J, and he's coaching me, and he's basically my producer for the songs that I'm writing for this album. And so that's one project I'm working on. And again, with the book coming out, I've been doing a lot of these interviews and just reaching out to the media with the great things that I'm doing, and just webinars and workshops to kind of teach people these principles that they can go to my website. They can go to billiondollarbeat.com or geraldjleonard.com, and they can learn a lot about these tools and skills to basically help them go to that next level for themselves. And so that's a lot of what I'm working on.
And that's a lot right there within itself, boy. When do you get to rest?
I believe it or not, that because I'm focused on the 20% that moves the 80, that creates 80%, I do have time to rest. I enjoy what I get to do, so I don't feel. So first off, I don't feel like I'm working. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing, and so work doesn't always feel like work. But two, because I'm focused on just the critical things that are going to move, create the biggest movement, it does allow me time to be flexible and to have time to travel and other things along that line. So I get a lot of that in. But I really enjoy what I get to do, and I really enjoy getting to network, meet new people, read new books, take courses, and really continually keep learning, but applying what I'm learning, but also being able to just kind of take time to just take walks and just reflect and enjoy life and enjoy what I get to do.
And that's something that you just said there that more of us need to really do, just take time out and reflect, because things could be a whole lot worse than what they are.
Yes, they could. Yes, they could.
And as long as guys like you and some other friends of mine keep speaking that international language, I'm talking about the music that elicits emotions and feelings and do all that good stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna definitely stay connected. That's for sure.
Well, definitely. Well, I look forward to it, man. I really do. I really look forward to it.
Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time out, man. We're not going to hold you any longer. We know you got a ton of things to do, but I want our listeners to know that they can definitely hear the show in its entirety if they miss any parts of it, and I would definitely suggest that you go check out Mr. Gerald Leonard and his approach, because we always can learn something, and this gentleman got some very positive things to do, great principles in place that we all can benefit from, and I know definitely I'm going to check you out, man, because I know some of the things that we touched on during this interview. I say, I could work on those a little bit better, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
we all can, right? We all can keep improving ourselves and take it to the next level.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I enjoy about this format that I have here. Should I say not format, but platform. I get to talk to gentlemen such as yourselves, and keep that principle, each one teach one. So even if we touched a few hundred people, a few thousand, million, whatever with this conversation, I mean, it's good to know that somebody came away benefiting and learning something from what we've been able to put out there to them.
Exactly.
So, again, I want to thank you so very much, and definitely let us know when that music come out, and we can get you on another show, and we can talk about your music and play that as well. So definitely stay in touch, and we're going to stay in touch with you.
excellent. Well, excellent. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. I'm very grateful to be on the show, and thanks so much for having me.
I appreciate you, man. Mr. Gerald J. Leonard, y'all. Go check him out. And this is your host, Lamont Patterson. Kind of play. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. And we're going to play one of our songs again. This is a shameless plug, but this is one of our own songs, Babylon, coming to you. Put your ears on this.
Guess what? Your time is up. 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 Babylon. Guess what? Your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon. Your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon. Your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon. Your kingdom. Guess what? Your time is up. Not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, said the Lord. You must free my Israelites. I'm standing by the door. And I know what you've been doing. You've done my people wrong. 400 years they've lived in fear, and I'll come to make them strong. Babylon, your kingdom. Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. On this rock I build my church. All powers belong to me. Where were you when I hung the stars? Oh, Satan, you've got to flee. I split the Red Sea open, turned water into wine. Made the dumb to talk and the lame to walk, and gave eyesight to the blind. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. 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 So, guess what? Your time is up. Guess what? Your time is up. I shake 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 your time is up. Babylon, where your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. This is the words of Yahweh. Yes, every word is true. I fed the hungry multitude, and I'll do the same for you. I came to give you more life, and that abundantly. If you let your light shine, so every man can see. And Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. 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 So, guess what? Your time is up. Talking about just power. Guess what? Your time is up. You can't stop just power. Guess what? Your time is up. Talking about just power. Guess what? Your time is up. You can't stop just power. Guess what? Your time is up. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, oh, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon, oh, your kingdom. It must come down. Babylon.
Can a player play? Sex, love, relationships, and politics. Hosted by Lamont P. Patterson. Every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join in the conversation. Call 646 area code 929-2870 or go up online to worldmovement.com and ask yourself, can a player play?